This is Anna.
This is Christina.
This is Tanya.
And you're listening to
Life,
Crime, and
Life,
Betrayal.
Crime, and Betrayal.
Life, Crime, and Betrayal.
Hey everyone, welcome to our last episode of season 2. We don't know what we're doing, but Anna has a little surprise for us. She has us guessing between two people as to who we're going to talk about today. So I'm gonna flip this, and for those who are not going to watch the video, I currently have a whiteboard with 2 names on it, and Christina and I are going to guess which one it is. 3, 2, 1. So we have Amanda Knox and Yara Gambirasio.
I'm going to write my answer.
Okay, well, I think it's Amanda. She thinks she's tired.
My guess is Yada, because Amanda's just so, I think, well known. I mean,
But it's
maybe people do know
also,
about Yada, but I think Amanda got a little bit more media attention.
like, Anna would like to see us argue about the case, so I think it might be Amanda. All right, we just said bye to someone, so sorry. Okay, let's go. Drum roll, please. What are we doing?
So we are going to be talking about Yara Gambirasio,
Whoa, I lost.
which I'm excited about because I feel like everybody knows Amanda Knox. This case, not many people are familiar with, and I know you guys don't know it for sure. So it's going to be a case that we're doing together.
Why are you assuming I don't know?
Yeah. You study Italian crimes regularly, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, say can nope, wrong anthem. My bad.
What were you singing? The Star Spangled Banner?
I think so. Or is it the USA national anthem?
That is also called the Star Spangled Banner. I'm not even
Wow.
American.
You don't know the Italian? Da-da-dum,
It sounds like a
da-da-dum,
bop. Like I would dance to it.
da-da-dum, da-dum. I freaking love the Italian
It's
national anthem.
okay. My daughter started singing O Canada yesterday, and my nonna then started overpowering her with the Italian anthem. I'm like, girl, this is not a battle of the anthems right now.
Battle of the Ballads.
So I have given you guys 2 whiteboards. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to go through the whole case. I'm going to give you the evidence from the prosecutor side, eventually the evidence for the defense side, and you guys are going to be acting like the jury. I want you to decide guilty or not guilty. And I've known about this case for a while because my mom's also very invested in it. So I had my opinion, and it is recently a little more shaky. So that's why I wanted to do this, just to see what you guys think.
So are we going to know the final verdict of it, or is it still ongoing, like a cold
No.
case? Like, what is it? Oh, okay.
Recently been solved, or quote unquote solved.
Cool.
Quote unquote, she says.
Because I'm iffy now.
Well,
So, as I had mentioned, we're going to explore the tragic case of Yara Gambirasio, who was a 13-year-old girl whose life was brutally cut short in a crime that left Italy in shock. On November 26, 2010, Yara disappeared from her small town of Brembata de Sopra, sparking an intense search that would last for over 3 months. What initially seemed like a missing persons case soon became a dark mystery full of unsettling twists and a relentless investigation. The case not only captivated the people of Italy, but the entire world. As the investigation unfolded, it would uncover some shocking secrets, the pursuit of justice, and the eventual arrest of a man who had been hiding in plain sight. The question remains, though, was justice served, or was there flaws in the investigation and ultimate arrest? And that is what we are going to be discussing today.
I'm just going to assume, as per pattern of what we're seeing, that there's definitely, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. You're the English teacher.
Injustice and
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Injustice.
Injustice?
okay.
Injustice.
So Yara Gambirasio was born on May 21, 1997 in the small town of Brembata de Sopra, Italy, to Fulvio, a hardworking surveyor, and Maura, a dedicated kindergarten teacher. Yara grew up in a close-knit middle-class family, deeply rooted in warmth and harmony, and they were very religious. Her parents described their family as very united, and Yara was the second oldest in the family. She had 2 younger brothers and an older sister. She was often referred to as the glue that held the family together and was described as a natural-born leader. Yara's passion for rhythmic gymnastics was undeniable. She was remarkably talented gymnast, And her commitment to training was clear as she competed regularly and earned numerous awards. And watching videos of her performance, and there's like a recent Netflix doc, you can see all of it. Like she's super good. When I say super good, she's incredible. Just like when someone's like a natural performer, they just have like this attitude about them, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And
It's
she had
born in your
that.
blood. Yeah.
Yeah. On the evening of November 26, 2010, Yara left her home around 5:30 p.m. to go to the sports center and hang around with some of her friends and teammates, which was only located about 800 meters away, so she generally walked there. Her teammates and friends saw her enter the gym and they confirmed that she stayed for approximately an hour. According to them, however, the layout of the gym meant that the exit door was not visible from the practice area, so they couldn't actually confirm that they ever saw her leave the doors when she left the gym. The last known communication from Yara was around 6:50 p.m. when she exchanged a text message with a teammate asking about the timing for their next competition at the gym on Sunday. Later that evening, sorry, Mauda, Yara's mother, tried calling her daughter around 7 p.m., but the call rang a few times before going to voicemail. This was highly unusual for her, as Yara was always known to keep her parents informed in anything that she was doing or if she planned to stay longer at the gym. Concerned, Mauda attempted to call her daughter again and again, but with no answer. By 7:20 p.m., Yara still hadn't returned home, and her mother's anxiety had begun to grow. By 7:55 p.m., Mauda decided to drive to the sports center to check if her daughter was there, and she immediately called her husband in a panic, saying that she could not locate Yara. Quickly, the parents got in their car and began canvassing the neighborhood and surrounding back roads near the sports center, hoping to find their daughter. When their search proved unsuccessful, they went straight to the local police to file a missing persons report. Initially, the police, of course, believed that this case was just a young girl who had simply decided maybe to hang out with some friends or maybe a boyfriend. So the carabinieri, also the police, before Tanya interrupts me, were tasked with
I'm
were
glad you
tasked
know
with
me that well.
were tasked with conducting informal inquiries, but nothing too official. So they began by canvassing the neighborhood, speaking to family members, and just questioning the neighbors around the location. Very quickly, as the hours passed, it became more clear that Yara was not returning home, and a group of over 500 people were assembled to start a search party. As the investigation progressed,
Pug West. Pug
prog-
West.
that was bad.
Pug West.
500 people, that's a lot of people.
It is, but
Yeah, it is. But it's a small community, so
yeah, I was
I'm not
gonna say
surprised.
that the community really like this case for the community was big. Like everybody in the Netflix series, they would just interview what do you call like civilians and who were part of this community, and some of them were just. It's not even their daughter, not even someone they knew, and they were crying. And it's just I think because it's so small, it feels like it hits home even if it's not for you. That makes sense.
So for our audience and to credit your findings, sorry, it's on Netflix, but what is the title of the documentary called?
It's called Yara Gambirasio Beyond a Reasonable Doubt.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. So as the investigation progressed, questions began to arise about how it was possible that no one at the sports center, whether it be the teachers, the coaches, teammates, had actually seen Yara leave. The sports center was, after all, the last known location where she had been seen. As a result, the police quickly turned their focus toward the facility. Unfortunately, the CCTV footage from the front of the building, which could have provided crucial evidence, was rendered useless as a storm had damaged the cameras, leaving investigators with no clear visual. I don't know about you, this happens very often where the friggin' CCTV, bro, make sure your CCTV footage fucking works. I don't understand.
Yeah, but people won't know unless they have to go back and check, like they're assuming that the footage is running.
I think that it should be like a mandatory thing. Like you should check it, not every day, but like, yeah. Because do you know how many cases would probably be solved like that if people's cameras were working? So many cases I've read where like the CCTV footage wasn't working at the front of the building, wasn't working here. It's ridiculous. The fear and anxiety that quickly gripped the small town was strong. What had started as a missing persons case quickly escalated into a media frenzy. News outlets had swarmed outside the Gambirasio home, relentlessly attempting to capture any details they could about the situation. They bombarded the family with phone calls in an attempt to extract statements, further compounding the emotional toll on Yada's already devastated parents and family. Literally, guys, when I say that they were on every news station, they harassed these parents. When I tell you this family was being harassed by media, they were being harassed. Like, bro, let them fucking be. Like,
do what you have to do. Find your daughter, not be harassed.
Sidetracked. Christina, your mic isn't working. I can't hear you. Speak.
Hello.
Nope. I think you muted yourself by accident. There you go.
You're correct.
I can see on our controls.
Yeah, I just think that's so sad because you just want to do what you have to do, live your life, find your daughter, and not answer like meaningless questions. But then again, like at the same time, maybe immediate attention is a good thing, but not maybe to the extent that they were getting it.
no, yeah, media attention can actually be a great thing.
Yeah, draw attention to the case. Maybe someone's seen her.
But I don't think you should be called the amount of phone calls they were calling to this family's house. They were literally parked outside their house. Like, what are you going to gather from
it's
sitting outside there?
ridiculous.
Yeah. As the days passed, tips and potential leads flooded in. One witness, Enrico Tironi, claimed to have seen Yara on the night she disappeared. He described her walking near two men he believed to be of darker skin tone, possibly of Romanian or Moroccan descent. He said that they were in a red Citroen vehicle that had scratches near the rear side. However, police quickly grew skeptical of Tirone's account because he was known to have a history of embellishing stories and seeking attention. So his testimony to the police didn't hold much weight. Despite this, they did interview him multiple times, but he eventually admitted that he had fabricated the entire story simply because he wanted to be part of the investigation.
Oh my
Asshole.
god, it's like that guy from the Vatican case too.
Then, out of, I guess, hope and desperate to find any leads, Yada's family were also getting insight from a psychic. So the psychic had told Yada's mother that her daughter had been taken by someone who was frequently seen around the gym and that she was being held captive with her hands and feet bound. The psychic claimed that Yada could be found in a basement, which only, of course, added more questions to this family. However, what are your thoughts on psychics? Believable or not believable?
I don't believe him.
No, I do.
But off of your what the psychic told your mom that you'd be friends with someone named Elizabeth again, I don't know. I would like to believe that supernatural does exist, and it does exist because let's not knock the fact that I believe paranormal activity exists, and you shouldn't mess with the multiverse, but yeah, to an extent, I guess I can say I believe it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do believe it, but I think also there's people out there who say they are that aren't,
Yes.
you know? Yes.
Christina, why don't you tell our audience that won't be able to read that what
yeah.
you said?
I do simply because I've had just like encounters of my own with psychics, I guess, and some stuff I've like been told had fruition to it. So I would say yes, but I also understand being in a state of desperation and like needing answers, and then
Yes.
what's the word, like agreeing with what you hear because you're so desperate to hear that answer. So
So, sorry, I'm interrupting. So, are you saying that the psychic was like? Do you believe that the psychic was truthful? Did it come out later that she wasn't truthful? Like, what are your thoughts?
This is the reason why I put that is because it's gonna come back around in a little
okay.
bit, and then you can put your
also, this is
factors
a
in.
psychic who's like aware of the case, wants her footing in it because you can't trust anybody.
Yeah,
That's why
that's
media
what I mean.
attention's so bad because now everyone wants to be a part of the narrative.
Yeah.
But maybe she has some truth to that, though. She was the wife of the gym teacher that kidnapped her, raped her, and then tossed her in the snow.
So
She's not denying it.
let me get through the case, and then we can have you be judge and jury.
Toronto police, hire me because
I'm gonna
Anna's
Google a
giving
job
me
fair right now,
all
eh?
close.
Get you on there.
So, in a more tangible effort to locate Yada, Swiss authorities sent typically specially trained search dogs to assist in the investigation. These dogs were trained to track specific scents, and officials in Italy hoped that they could help uncover new clues, as Italy's dog training capabilities weren't really developed at that time. The dogs were given Yada's shoes and a toothbrush that she had used earlier that day. The dogs tracked her scent all the way to the gym, which wasn't unexpected. But what followed was odd. Instead of following a trail that would have led toward Yada's home, the dogs redirected to an opposite side to an electric parking gate nearby. This change in direction raised new question. Did Yada leave the gym willingly? Did she leave in a car with someone she knew? Or was it with a stranger? The route the dogs followed took them down an isolated stretch of land far from any residential areas or commercial buildings, surrounded mostly by factories and warehouses. It was an eerily quiet area with not much activity. The search for Yada took a dramatic turn when the tracking dogs led investigators so it was about 2 kilometers away from the gym, and eventually they guided them to a shopping mall that was still under construction. The dogs led them to an electrical room on the construction site, and according to Italian officials, the dogs became extremely agitated and intensely focused on that area. Remarkably, it wasn't just one dog, but three, all of them going to there and all of them reacting in the same way, which then led police to start investigating the construction site. This became a vocal point of the investigation. And they also had to do interviews and investigation on all the employees that were working at this construction site. So there was approximately 100 employees who worked there. And the investigators interviewed each one as well as they were intercepting messages from their phones. One of the messages that they got, they had to bring in a interpreter who spoke Arabic. And when they translated this phrase from this person that they were looking into, the message appeared to contain a statement from a man named Mohammed Fikri, who said, "I didn't kill her," with a word that sounded like Yada following it. This led police to immediately shift their focus onto Fikri. So they sprang into action, quickly working to bring him in for questioning. However, sadly, he was already at this point on a boat going back to his hometown or his homeland, which was Moroccan. So, despite all this, the Italian forces were able to stop this boat in the middle of the ocean, and it was just about to hit the borders of Italy. So if it's outside of the borders of Italy, you
Still
now can't just...
jurisdiction?
Correct, yes. So they were able to detain him, and when the arrest broke about Fikri, the small town of Brembata de Sopra was consumed by a wave of outrage and public outcry. However, much of this reaction was fueled by prejudice. Fikri was an immigrant from Morocco, and he became the target of intense and unjust anger. So protests at this point broke out across the town, with many people calling for his death, holding signs that read "an eye for an eye," and other inflammatory messages that were not just directed at him specifically, but at immigrants in general. It was deeply unfair, and it was described as like the town was very racially charged at this point because they had basically picked a guy and said he was guilty without actually been proven guilty.
As usual.
Yeah. So once he was questioned, he obviously denied everything, and eventually, upon further investigation, the authorities found that the original translation of the message was wrong. So they brought in another expert in Arabic who re-examined the recording and determined that what Fikri actually had said was "Ya Rabbi," which is an expression for them that's kind of like it's kind of like "oh my," for us, like "oh my God" or "oh gosh," which under the right conditions and if he says it quickly enough,
Yeah.
could sound like "yada."
That's what irks me. Did one person just listen to the recording and then determine that that was it? Like, this should be fact checked a million times. One person listened to it and said, "Oh, he said yada."
And I want to know which interpreter they brought the first time. It had to be someone who was kind of like, yeah, I know Arabic, but it wasn't.
Yeah, someone not solid.
Yeah.
For sure.
For months, the police and first responders and Interpol worked tirelessly to locate Yada, but their efforts yielded no results. Everyone in the community was literally behind finding this little girl. Like, I can't explain, like, just seeing that, even though it's such a sad story, when people come together in time of need, it's a really beautiful thing. You don't see it often.
sure.
Yeah. Then, on February 26, 2011, the Carabinieri were called to the scene by a man flying his remote-controlled plane. While in flight, the man had spotted a small body in a remote field about 10 kilometers from the gym where Yada was last seen. The area was secluded with a few buildings, and there was only a nightclub and a factory in the vicinity. Given the isolation of the location, authorities speculated that the person responsible for leaving her there must have been familiar with the area. Upon arrival, the police noted that the body was unrecognizable. The area was quickly secured and investigators began processing the crime scene. Early examination of the body revealed that this person was wearing a blue uniform embezzled with the letters FGI, a pair of running shoes, and a set of keys with distinctive keychains. These personal effects, along with the uniform, helped investigators to potentially think that at this point this was Yara. So the body was then transported to the morgue, and they brought in Yara's family to identify her. While the physical appearance of the body was too badly altered to immediately recognize her, Yara's family confirmed her identity based on the clothing and the personal belongings. As Yara's father later said, and I quote, "The body did not look anything like her."
That's so traumatizing to have to sit there and ID her knowing she looks nothing what she looked like the last time they saw her.
I don't know why, but this is really hard for me to listen to.
Yeah, I can. It
She's a
is very hard.
kid.
Yeah,
It's really hard for me to listen to right now.
yeah. So the condition. Sorry, go ahead.
You know why? It's like, because the Vatican girl was hard for me to listen to, but they never found her body. I think that was worse because the parents will never know. This is as worse because now you have the body and she's so mangled.
Yeah,
Like, that shouldn't be the last picture you have of her.
It's the gym teacher. I'm dead set that it's the fucking coach. And Anna laughs because I think I'm
Anna's the
right.
worst liar you've ever met. So it's 100% right. The podcast here, the gym teacher did it.
Okay, you guys make sure, viewers, listeners, they're saying the gym teacher did it. Okay? So the condition of her clothing raised further suspicion. Her bra clasp.
Wait. But you said the dogs led to a construction site, but then her body's found in some field?
Correct.
Okay.
So the condition of her clothing raised further suspicion. So her bra clasp was unfastened and the side of her underwear were torn, possibly by a knife. These findings suggested a possible sexual motive for the crime. Though Yara had several injuries, most notably a head wound and a number of superficial stab wounds, these were not considered the cause of death. The primary cause of death was exposure to the harsh winter elements, which honestly...
See, I called it. Her body was tossed in the snow. Anna sucks at lying.
She had
I thought
hypothermia.
he was right. Yeah, either
it was cold?
hypothermia or yes, because basically it turns out that she was there for a long while. So the elements is what eventually killed her. So
So someone left her there.
correct.
Yeah, raped her and left her there.
Yeah. I don't know but actually she wasn't ever sexually abused.
No?
Well,
No. So like the motive for, not that that's any good motive ever, but like there is really no motive.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we dealing with a female killer then?
No, we're not.
I don't know.
It's the freaking coach. And here I am
Okay,
stereotyping
so
that it's a male coach.
superficial wounds, meaning what? Like they didn't penetrate her enough to kill her because she didn't die of the wounds.
Correct.
Female force. If a guy's stabbing
Hold
her,
on. It's no male and it's no adult female. It was one of her friends
roommate,
because they were
gymnast?
jealous of her.
that's what I'm thinking. That's where I was going with that. Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
Someone at the gym, but I don't think it's a guy. You're saying superficial wounds. I'm just thinking like your strength, you penetrate, but maybe these girls are strong. They're gymnasts, so I don't know now.
yeah, well, or it could be a group of girls. Because how do you humiliate someone?
Yeah.
Okay, they'll tear up your clothes, blah, 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 but how do you let this girl suffer? Or she could have stolen a boyfriend.
That is actually, this is why I wanted to do it this way, because I never even thought about the fact that they're superficial wounds, that it might be done from like a woman or someone of her age.
Well, if there was no motive, like you're saying, because obviously, okay, we're stereotyping here. Like a male would go for a smaller, like a, I'm not saying every male, but a pedophile would obviously want to rape the girl.
Yeah.
Right? There's like a constant theme with these male killers.
Yeah. Because we don't want to take away from the fact that females aren't capable of being disgusting and nasty. Women can rape men, women
Absolutely.
can be rapists for sure. But why go through all that trouble? of
And to
kidnapping
leave her to die
Yeah.
in the snow, they're probably teenagers. Like they're like
But
gymnasts.
how do they get her body there? They can't drive.
They probably did it in the nighttime when no one was watching. It's a small community. Everyone knows everyone's whereabouts, right?
I don't know, but I just think it's a female. But the construction site to the field is where, because then she died in the field, correct?
That's
How
the
did she not get
assumption.
eaten by animals? That's another thing too.
Maybe because it was cold at that, like it's winter
Yeah.
at that point.
Wolves?
Oh, hey,
There are
here's my
wolves in
thing.
Italy?
Here's my thing. Maybe she went to go meet up with some people and do some shady shit in the electric room because it's a construction site. So she wasn't dragged there. She was probably coerced there, not killed there, but then probably on the way to somewhere she was killed in the forest. Because again, it's a small community, and here we're going with comparing it to the cold case. It's a small community, it's a small town. If she's yelling, you'd be hearing the yelling.
I just hate to think that these girls die of as a result of like trying to live their life, like doing typical teenage things that we all did.
The fact that there are basically theories that she died on this field, that means she died a slow death. She didn't die a quick death.
Yeah, dying of
That
like a
to me, it's like,
hypothermia.
yeah, because now you're probably,
You're
I would at this age,
frozen.
I would be screaming for my mom, screaming for my dad,
She
and
probably
like
didn't have the force to scream.
or that. Yeah, it's just
But
sad.
she's got a lot of things going on. So she's dying from the cold. She has a head trauma. She has okay. She's still been stabbed. There's still wounds. There's a lot going on. And yeah, no,
Yeah, her head trauma might have made her like unconscious or
that's what I'm
whatever,
hoping.
right?
Like she knocked out and didn't feel it.
I don't think so.
But I don't think so either.
No,
And who's
because
gonna?
I am firmly a believer at this moment that it was her teammates.
okay.
I think it was
Because
a
of
female.
jealousy.
I just don't know which one because I don't know if she had coaches that were females.
Interesting. Okay. So during the autopsy, investigators discovered that Yara had grass and dirt in her fist. The soil matched that of the field where she was found, which is what led authorities to conclude that she had been alive when placed there. This confirmed to them that Yara's final moments were spent on that cold field. How, according to both law enforcement and the search teams involved, the field where Yara was eventually found had been thoroughly searched for weeks prior to the discovery of her body. Despite the efforts, her body was not located at the time. So let me break down why they were searching this field to begin with. So according to the investigators and eventually the prosecutors, remember in the beginning I said her last known activity was she sent a friend a text message around 6:50.
Yeah.
Her mom says she began calling her around close to 7 p.m. So that was like 10 minutes with no answer. The cops said her phone had pinged
I was
at a
gonna say
cell
they're not
tower.
pinging cell towers.
Yeah, her phone had pinged at a cell tower within short minutes from that text message, somewhere in a great distance away that would not match because she walked to the gym. So they concluded she had to have been in a car. So because her cell had pinged
Very
outside of
far.
the parameters, that's what I think eventually led them to investigate this field. Which brings the question, if you're intensely investigating this field for weeks and you did not locate her body, and the man who found Yara's body said she was literally in plain sight. They were like, she was not hidden at all. So was she placed there afterwards, or if it was it literally just human error?
Or was she alive this entire time and then her body was found? Like she was alive, killed her, dumped her after they searched the field.
I know, but they said she died from the cold, right? That's what their autopsy
Yeah, but she still could have
confirmed.
just wilted away in there.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
No, but she had soil in her hands.
That's all right. Like she had the
Yeah,
grass.
so I'm saying, so they searched there, let's say they searched there 5 weeks ago, but maybe she wasn't dead 5 weeks ago. She was still alive. They're
Oh,
still,
so someone was holding her.
someone was holding her hostage or something.
Yeah, like
and
the
then,
psychic said.
yeah, holding her. She was alive this entire time. So they looked, yeah, there was no body because she wasn't dead yet. How long does it take to die of hypothermia? Like I'm assuming it's not, she not wasn't there laying for days.
I wouldn't know.
She's gonna die of starvation, thirst, hunger. She's probably bleeding out from her wounds, head trauma. There's a lot going on. Her systems are gonna start shutting down. So when they looked, yeah, there was no body. Maybe she died after, like still in the field,
Interesting.
but not. She was still alive while they were looking for her. I don't know. Does the autopsy say how long her body was dead before they found her?
The but experts did also point out that the grass clutched in Yara's hands is
10
not
minutes.
10.
To die of hypothermia?
If it's negative 30.
No, but it
No,
wouldn't
it's
be.
that cold in Italy.
No.
Death can occur under an hour in extremely cold conditions. People die faster.
I would think at least a couple days.
No, 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 no.
I don't think days.
No. No, it can take like less than 5 hours.
Okay.
Her body starts to freeze.
Yeah. So here's my take on it. This guy, or the killer, incapacitated her enough that maybe as she was dying, she grips the soil and then she dies.
And you're saying it's got a lot of media attention, right? Okay, so what's to say that they say, okay, today we searched the field. So why not dump the body after, they're not going to look there?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a small community.
Yeah, they've already looked at the fields. Now I can dump her because they're not going to come back to this site. Because authorities didn't find her. A freaking guy with a drone found her.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's now us going back on the whole thing. Then it wasn't a female. Then I have to retract my statement and say it's not the gymnast people, unless her team held her in the electrical room
Yeah.
and then brought her body once everything like died down.
Yeah,
I
the only-
still stick with the female because of the superficial wounds really throwing me off here and the fact that she wasn't sexually assaulted. Again, not to say a woman can't do that. But I'm just thinking dump the body after because there's no reason for people to go look back there.
Okay, but see, you're assuming that because sexual assaulting needs a penis for sexual assaulting to find DNA that you were sexually assaulted.
Correct.
They did not find sperm, and they don't. If they had found trauma to her area, she would have been sodomized or whatever, right? You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but that's not
like,
to say that a female and a female can't leave DNA. There's DNA on your
yeah, but
fingernails.
females. Okay, and we should have done an explicit content warning. Females can't leave sperm.
Yeah.
So they could. I don't know. Did they find and now I'm asking you, Anna. Was the findings like she wasn't sexually assaulted, as in they didn't find sperm, or they didn't find trauma?
they didn't find, from how I understand it, they didn't find sperm in her.
There you go. So she could have been sodomized, but they would have said
There
that.
still would have been trauma of that though.
Yeah, they would have. They would have
still would have
said
found
something.
trauma
Yeah.
on her, though.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah. They
thing.
would have said something.
Correct.
Just because
But
there's no
here's-
actual male anatomy and talk here,
And
you still
here's-
leave trauma.
Yeah. And here's me piecing
so
or putting two and two together. The psychic probably thought the electrical room was a basement.
It could be. That's why I put it in there, because there's some parts that I'm like, it kind of makes sense a
psychic
little bit.
has-
Yeah.
Yeah, because why would her scent be there, and why would its dogs be so strong to that room if she wasn't held there for a longer period of time? Because they would have been sniffing out in the fields and like barking in a certain area, but they weren't. So she goes from the gym to the electrical room, being held there for a couple of days, and we don't know if while they were searching, we don't know if they actually searched properly, if she was actually alive while the dogs were there.
Because you said they were going crazy. What if
Yeah.
she was there the whole time?
I don't think she was there when they were searching. They would have found her, right? Unless
No, they didn't find her in
know.
the field.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. However, some experts did say that the grass that was clutched in Yara's hand is very common in Italy, so it's nearly founded in 2/3 of Italy. So this detail adds another layer, because then for them, I guess they're trying to make it seem like maybe she didn't die there. Like the fact that she has the grass in her hand doesn't specifically mean she died there. I don't agree with it. I think it does mean she died there, because I don't see
I'm
her.
sorry. Genetic, soil, makeup, climate. You can't tell me all of Italy has the same grass.
Yeah.
No.
Grass.
I don't buy that
not
for
grass.
a second. No, I don't buy that for a second.
Me either. So further,
I think that's just them trying to cover up the fact that maybe if her body was there, that they didn't actually perform as a thorough search as they're saying.
Oh no, I'm a firm believer that she got wounded and held somewhere else, and in her final moments, she died of
there. They dumped her
hypothermia.
body.
Yeah, they dumped her body there.
I'm also a firm believer that when they checked it, she was still alive.
Yeah. She was held in that room.
Yeah, somewhere.
100%. And they didn't, and we don't know how Italy works, but they didn't have a warrant to search, so they could probably only search up to a certain point. Right?
Good point. Yeah. So, further examination of the body revealed the presence of small metal spheres reminiscent of shrapnel that was commonly found at construction sites. Forensic also found traces of lime, which had a significant implication for the investigation because, according to investigators, lime is commonly used in construction as a cement binding agent.
Lime, like you mean like the fruit?
No, lime and
No.
like limestone.
Yeah.
Come on, Christina.
I'm the son
This
of a carpenter.
this pointed to the possibility that the crime was connected to a nearby construction site or that the perpetrator was involved in some type of construction work. Months passed, and eventually investigators confirmed that
Hey, wasn't the mall a construction site?
It was.
they were building a mall, correct?
You need to not do that because my heart is running a mile a minute.
Sorry. Need to write on my board.
I'm already on edge with the story.
Yeah.
You need to not do that, okay?
My bad.
God. I'm already getting anxious just listening.
Making sure
to
you
the
can hear
story.
me because I feel like the last few podcast listeners, something was going on with my mic, so I'm more on top of my game.
So months passed, and eventually investigators confirmed the presence of male DNA on Yara Gambiracio's undergarments and leggings, leading them to identify a person of interest they dubbed as Suspect 1. However, the DNA did not match anyone in the national database. In response, police launched an unprecedented DNA sampling operation, asking thousands of local residents to provide samples. The massive campaign costed an estimated 3 million euros and set a new precedent for such investigations in Italy. So basically, they were literally, guys, I kid you not, they would be outside of stores, they were outside of the club where her body was found, the one club that was in the area, and they were literally just anybody that they were walking by, they were like, test your DNA. Like they were just collecting as much DNA as they could, which is fucking wild to me. I've never heard of such a thing ever in my
That's
life.
so good though, right?
Yeah, but
Impossible to
that's
me.
it's also like
Inconclusive.
not even. It's like the amount of people, the amount of confliction you have as a resident in that community. Because it's like, if you leave, well, you're a suspect. If you don't want to give up your DNA because now it's going to be in the database forever, you're a suspect. Like, and if you give your DNA, now it's in the database forever, so you can't fuck up.
This is exactly why I won't do 23andMe, because then they're gonna have my DNA.
Oh, my parents did Ancestry
Yeah, one of those.
or whatever, and we found a lot of information. It was pretty cool.
I might do it now.
So despite testing thousands of samples, no direct match was found. Eventually, though, a breakthrough came when DNA from a young man named Demanio Gurinoni was tested, revealing a strong match to the DNA found on Yara. It was later discovered that Damiano had a connection to the Gambriacio family through his mother, who had worked for them. While he was, of course, initially a prime suspect, further investigations showed that he had been abroad the day Yara was believed to have been murdered and disappeared. Although Damiano was ruled out as the perpetrator, the discovery of a close genetic link between his DNA and that of suspect 1 led investigators to believe that the two might be related. The focus then shifted to Damiano's extended family, particularly his cousin Pier Paolo, because Pier Paolo's DNA also closely resembled that of suspect 1. So police collected DNA samples from Pier Paolo's whole family, including his mother and siblings, but of course that came empty. The next was to get the DNA from his father. However, the father had passed away 12 years earlier. So what they did was they asked the family, hey, do you by chance have any possible thing of your father that might have DNA? And what they found was an old driver's license. And back then, apparently in Italy, they would, with your driver's license, they would give you a sticker and you had to lick the sticker and stick it on your license. So they removed the sticker and they were able to find DNA from that sticker. The results were astonishing. The strong probability that suspect 1 was the son of Pier Paolo's late father was the match was very, very, very strong. However, the match obviously was disputed at first because, according to investigators, the DNA markers were not an exact match. So, to resolve this issues, investigators exhumed Pier Paolo's father's body and tested his bone DNA. The results revealed an overwhelming 99.9999987% match, confirming that he was indeed suspect's one biological father. However, now stands another problem because it's very clear that the mother of Pierpaolo is not the mother of suspect 1 because she would have known if she birthed another child.
Yeah, the baby mama.
Correct. So, which means he had an extramarital affair. With this in mind, the investigation turned to uncover.
Wait, but
the
this Damiano guy was friends with her? Like
his
friends with
mom
family?
worked as a cleaning lady for the Gambiasos
And
family.
now all of a sudden there's a random guy and his random son? That's crazy.
It's not a random guy though. It's not a random guy. The dad's dead. So the lady's
Oh, this is
husband is dead.
Damiano's dad.
This is Damiano's dad.
No,
and
this is
now
Damiano's cousin's dad.
Yeah, see, so still kind of farther apart on the family tree there.
interesting.
A little bit, yeah. So as part of the investigation, because now they have to find out who suspect's one mother is, because when you find that, you'll know who suspect 1 is. So the police literally took DNA samples of 532 women who had at some point had contact with Mr. Gurinoni to test
Crazy.
all this DNA. Unfortunately, none of the samples yielded a match. However, this dead end would only be temporary and soon there would be a solution. Keep that in mind. Keep the DNA in your mind. We're going to come back to that soon. And we're going to jump to 3 years from now. On June 16, 2014, Massimo Giuseppe Bossetti was arrested in connection with the murder of Yara Gambirasio. He was a 43-year-old married construction worker and father of 3 and had previously been described by those who knew him as a good, solid man. However, certain suspicious actions and inconsistencies in his story eventually led authorities to arrest him.
Construction worker?
Yes, he was a construction worker. So now this is why I have your board. So what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to break down why they arrested him, what they had against him, and how the defense kind of came back with other things. And then we'll continue from there. So suspect thing number 1. The day of his arrest, Bossetti was apprehended at a construction site where he was working. Remarkably, as soon as the police arrived, according to them, he attempted to flee, an act captured on police body camera footage. For someone who clearly was maintaining his innocence through this whole investigation, that was obviously a very unusual behavior and a red flag for investigators and police. However, the defense came back afterwards and they said that he was never trying to run away. So Massimo Bossetti said the police arrived to his work, and at that time he was at the top of the building doing something with cement. Okay, so he said the police from the bottom said, "Hey, we need to speak to you." And Massimo said, "I was just trying to get to the ladder, which was on the other side of the building, to go talk to them." He's like, "I would have no reason to flee," because he's like, "I had done nothing. I was not guilty of anything." He's like, "I just wanted to go to the bottom of the building to talk to the police." One of the key pieces of evidence against Bossetti came from surveillance footage near the sports center where Yara was last seen.
He was seen on it?
Not him. So police identified a van matching Bossetti's vehicle, which had been circling the area around the gym approximately 16 times. This raised further suspicions. However, the defense brought in an architect to investigate this footage. And the architect had come back and said basically that they have, softwares, and their job is to do that. Like look at areas, deem the dimensions, see what can fit here and what can't. And based on all this, he said that the van that had passed through on those CCTV footage does not match the size of Massimo's van. Okay. When he was arrested, prosecutor, when they went to go interview him in his jail cell, had asked him point blank, "Have you ever visited the town where Yara was kidnapped?" And he immediately denied it. He said, "I've never been there." However, at that point, police knew that that was a lie, because upon the investigation, they uncovered that he was a regular there at a tanning salon near Yara's home.
You went to tanning salons?
Yeah, he was very tanned. If you watch the documentary, man, I wish I had that color. So to them, it's like, why lie about something so simple? And he then said that
Probably worried.
he then said that he lied because he didn't want his wife to find out that he was spending his hard-earned money every week or twice a week to get a tan, basically is what he said. Also, they found microfibers on Yara's clothing that matched the same microfibers in Massimo Bossetti's fabric seats in his vehicle. However, The defense came back and said that's very weak because there's not only one make of this vehicle. So any vehicle,
vehicles.
yeah, will have the same fabric and microfibers.
Yeah, because usually one person does all the supplying.
Yeah. So additionally, Bossetti's alibi the night Yara went missing was shaky at best for prosecutors and investigators. He claimed he had been home that night, but cell tower data revealed that his phone had been pinging in the vicinity of Yara's home and the gym that evening. This further undermined his credibility and cast a doubt on his statements. The defense then said, wait.
Defense doesn't answer for everything, eh?
And they said, wait. So because this town is small and it's also Italy, it's not as developed, and we're in 2013 at this point. So when they only had, I believe, 2 cell towers. So it's true that his cell tower did ping to the
Pinged
cell
one of
tower
them.
to the gym. However, his house also pings on that same cell tower. So it could very likely be that he was home that night and he was telling the truth. Whereas I think here, our cell towers, we have so many that we get a more specific location.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he
Now-
really is tanned.
When they get
Oh, I'm not. I can't. Like, I can't search this. Like, I don't want to put a face right now because I'm so on edge that I can't. Everything's freaking me out right now.
So when they got search warrants to search Massimo Bossetti's computer, they found loads of child pornography on his computer. When questioned, Massimo told investigators that they would not find anything. So of course, when they went and they found it, red flag again.
And he's a dad.
And he's a dad, yes. Specifically, though, they found him searching derogatory things about 13-year-old girls.
Oh.
Okay. His excuse, though, is him and his wife watch these things together
That's even worse.
to set the mood.
Oh no!
Stop talking right now.
Oh,
Because what else are you watching that for?
oh no!
But mostly, he says it's his wife who partakes in this,
I'm
not
trying to
him.
hang his wife under the bus.
Correct.
Okay, even
The
better.
cops question the wife at this point, and they ask her on trial. So what they did was they took some of the statements that he had searched on his computer, and they read them to her. And they were then asking her yes or no in the trial, and I believe probably in questioning too. So some of the things they asked her: redhead girls naked in a harness, submissive blonde girls partaking in gangbang, sadomasochistic sex, how to pick up a girl at the gym. And the wife answered to these questions, yes, it's possible. Yes. So she was backing him up on his story, basically, is what she said. Now, we're going to go back to the DNA. This is perhaps the most damning evidence for the prosecutors. As previously mentioned, investigators had tested the DNA of 532 women who at some point had contact with Mr. Guirinoni. However, we know that none of them were originally a match. A witness had come forward and revealed that Esther Arzuffi, Bossetti's mother, had reportedly had an affair with Mr. Guirinoni. Initially, the prosecutors and investigators were ignoring him. They did not want to re-examine the DNA. They didn't really want to do anything with it. But he was super insistent that they eventually retested the DNA. And they found out that, who does DNA? Is it forensics?
Yeah.
Yeah, forensics fucked up major. So when they were testing the DNAs to see if there was a genetic link between suspect 1 and Mr. Guirinoni, they were testing it against Yara's DNA and not suspect 1's.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Say it again.
So they didn't grab the father's DNA; they were grabbing Yara's DNA, like whatever was found on Yara. So they messed up.
So if you're testing Yara's
So, yeah,
DNA
they
against
messed up
suspect 1, of
royally.
course it's going to be right. Or if you're
Matching.
testing Yara's
Yeah.
DNA against all the other women, right? The 532 women, none of them are going to be matched because we know who Yara's mom and dad is.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why it was a major fuck up. So then they retested the DNA, of course, and it was a match. That suspect's 1's DNA and Esther Zuffi was the mother. And that's how they found Massimo Bossetti. However, the investigators said, number 1, the DNA testing was done by expired kits, which But honestly, I'm not surprised. But things that happen in Italy don't surprise me at all. Stuff like this can actually get even if the person did it, acquittal. Stuff like this will get you thrown out. They had also said that normally when you go through trial, everything the prosecutor has to be all the documents, everything a part of their investigation has to be eventually turned over to the defense.
Yeah, discovery.
But all the DNA testing, the forensics, everything like that was never turned over to
I
the
think
defense.
that's in every country, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's just shady.
And then they also said that they had requested multiple times for the DNA to be retested
And they
to
didn't
be
want
make sure, and they didn't agree to it. What makes this case even more perplexing are the conversations recorded in Bossetti's jail cell, which were made public during the Netflix documentary. So when prosecutor Letizia Ruggeri visited him to explain the reasoning for his arrest, obviously she broke the news that, hey, the man that raised you your whole life is not your biological father. This is how we caught you to begin with. So Bossetti confronts his mother, and you hear the conversations on the phone. He's like, are you lying to me? Tell me who my father is. And she's adamantly denying any affair with this guy. She's even going, guys, like you can find so many on all these news stations, television stations saying, I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never slept with him, blah, 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 all this stuff. Okay. Then all of a sudden, her story changes. One day she wakes up and now she says, no, I did know him.
Oh my God.
Explaining that he had been her bus driver and he was giving her rides to and from work for about 6 months when she was younger. Also, sometimes these rides were happening in his personal car with just him and her. But she continued to say that she ever slept with him or ever had an affair with him. And then, 2 years after her son's arrest, she changed her story again. She was now claiming that she had unknowingly undergone a medical assisted pregnancy, suggesting that Mr. Gurinoni's sperm might have been used during a gynecological session without her knowledge. So she was basically saying she was implanted and became pregnant from him
Jane the Virgin.
without knowing. Yeah. Meanwhile,
How many times is your story gonna change?
this is it. That's it.
Yo,
that
this
her
is
last one.
tiring. This is tiring even for me listening. Fuck.
Meanwhile, Bossetti then, of course, took matters into his own hands, and he did a private DNA test to confirm, like, who his father was.
As he should.
And it did not who his father was. Sorry, he wanted to do the because then if he is the match of suspect one, he just pretty much told the world that he is guilty. But he did a DNA test to confirm if the man who raised him is his father or is not his father. Turns out the man is not his biological father. However, none of his siblings are related to this man, which means the mom has been lying their whole entire life of who their father is, or maybe they have more than one father. Nobody knows.
So wait, the match wasn't to Mr. Guglioni over here either?
Not he won't match against Mr. Gurinoni, right? Because if it is a match, or you're saying you're guilty,
Yeah.
so he just wanted to find out like if the man raised him was or
his
not.
father, and it wasn't.
The man who raised him is not his father.
And neither any of his siblings.
Correct.
This lady.
Okay.
I mean, you do you, girl, but at least be honest with your kids.
I
Yeah.
know. Fuck.
That's such a hard pill to swallow too. All of them?
So now, do they all have different dads, or like?
That I did not know. Because I don't even know if she would never
knows.
admit it. So
These are your kids. Like, one's in jail because of this. Like, just get your story straight.
Yo, I just be like, yo, I'm sorry. I had a whole era. My bad.
Yeah, like you do.
At
you,
least
girl,
I kept
but,
you.
like,
Okay, I shouldn't be laughing. I'm sorry. I'm
I'm
so
just
sorry.
like, yeah, you do you, but like, tell your kids. That's their
All
identity.
right, I just wanna get to who this is because now I have no idea who the fuck this is.
okay. So then also while Bossetti was in prison, his phone calls were monitored and some of his conversation was very suspicious for me. In one call, he told his wife if there was any evidence found in his vehicle, she needs to tell the police that only their children have ever been inside that car. On another occasion, his wife informed him that she had discovered 2 pocket knives in the cupboard. Bossetti explained that they had been left in his van by a friend who used the knives to roll joints. He then instructed his wife to dispose of the knives, claiming that he was worried he was going to be framed. Obviously not because he was guilty. And if you remember, she had superficial stab wounds. Correct. So all this strange behavior and conflicting conflicting statements and the lies with the DNA obviously is going to create a lot of doubt on his I'm not guilty. However, the defense came up with their own theories to raise reasonable doubt. They had three suspects. So if you remember early on in the investigation, Enrico Tironi had said he'd witnessed two men mysteriously walking around the streets at night with Yara. Turns out what he said was not a lie. It was actually true because, yeah, because other witnesses had come forward describing the same things that night. And eventually, based on the multitude of descriptions, they were able to locate these two men. And these two men had the exact same vehicle that Enrico said, the red Citroen with the scratch marks or dents in the rear wheel. So everything was identical. These two males were in fact be believed to be around the gym that night Yara went missing, and they both had past criminal charges against them, some of which included violence. Suspect number two for the defense. On Yara's sweater, on the cuff of her sleeve, they found blood that contained mixed DNA, one which was matching Sylvia Brenna, which was her gym teacher or her coach. I think
A girl?
correct. Basically,
I called the coach, though.
the defense was saying the DNA on the cuff of the sleeve is suspicious because it's to them a very vulnerable place. So they also said that prosecutors and investigators didn't really do anything to investigate her. She basically, all she said was, oh, maybe it got there from me hugging her or just being in the gym together all the time. So, but for the defense, it was very evident that they did not interview or investigate much the coaches, nor the teammates. And apparently all the teammates and the coaches, they said when they were on trial, it was like all their statements were rehearsed. Everything kind of had the same thing. A lot of times it was, I don't remember, I don't recall, no comment. So it was, a lot of it was just the same
Goes
thing
back
for
to your
everyone.
Yo,
Okay.
Toronto police, hire me.
So
maybe the coach and the gymnast were in on it then.
Honestly, I'm telling you, jealousy is huge. We know jealousy, especially within like the girl community. It is huge. So imagine maybe the coach was a mother of one of the and here's me trying to like conjure up from movies and stuff. What if the coach was the mother of one of the talented gymnasts?
Ice Princess.
And she wanted oh my god, Yara dead because she wanted her daughter to succeed.
Yeah, if you're as good as they're saying that she is at gymnastics, maybe she was being scouted for the Olympics. Like, who knows?
who knows? Yeah, that is true. So final suspect, Walter Brambilla. He was
Walter or Walter?
No, it's Walter.
Voltaire. Don't blame it on the janitor.
Yeah, he was the custodian for the gym. So obviously, he was around the gym often. He had the keys to every single room in the gym, as well as the entrance. And he knew Yara very well. And according to parents, he was frequently around. He was also part of the initial search at the gym the night Yara went missing. His testimony early on contradicted what they saw on the CCTV footage. For example, Walter had said a little after 5 p.m. he was at the gym and he did not leave until around 7:30 p.m. from the gym. But on camera, they catch his truck leaving around 6:33 p.m., which kind of coincides a little bit with Yara's being around the gym as well.
And her text message.
Yeah, because her text message went at around 6:50.
Yeah.
So all these strange and conflicting behaviors. For the defense, it's basically there's too many holes in the investigation. The prosecutor is basically leaning on the DNA. The DNA for them was the biggest thing. Coincidentally, though, the prosecutor on this case is now currently under investigation for procedural fraud and misdirection. So that's also something that on the defense side, when they moving forward, is something for you guys to know. So before I confirm if Massimo Bossetti was found guilty, you ladies are going to say guilty or not guilty.
Oh, God. But young construction worker.
Oh, she has her answer
The
quick.
child pornography stuff kind of throws me for a loop though too. Okay.
It does. Me too.
I'm
Not
gonna say
guilty.
this, although I don't know how they feel about it.
Not
Not
guilty.
guilty. I said not guilty.
But I have a feeling that they say they did to pin it on him because he's the only person that they have all this stuff on. I think he's wrongfully convicted.
Yeah.
See, this is why originally I was on guilty. I was 100% guilty. But after watching the Netflix series, and when you hear like the defense stuff, right? And then they also go to jail and they interview him. And when they're interviewing him,
Something about him?
I don't know, man. Like he's crying the whole time. Like I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's far fetched because again, he fits
The bill.
he fits the bill. So I think he's wrongfully convicted. I'm going with that. It has something to do with the gymnastic inner circle.
But then how do you?
Hold on.
It's okay. It's someone's, and when they exit from the side door.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. It's their alarm.
I'm on edge, man.
My
I'm
heart
on
just
edge.
sunk.
Okay.
See, for me, it's just I don't know what we were talking. I forgot what we were talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
it's also like, how do you describe the fibers that were found on her that can link to construction sites? And see, I don't think if it was the teammates, I don't think they did it alone. They need an adult with them because
Yeah.
her body was found like 10 kilometers away. You need a car for that.
The female coach.
Yeah, I'm heavily leaning towards the side that she was brought to a construction site. She was lying down there. Like you can get anything. Like this guy picks up like okay, he was working with cement. Obviously, he's gonna have cement on him. You know, like I don't think it's him. I just think they discovered a different case because you do get sent to jail for unfortunately child pornography. Like that's a very unfortunate event that he decided to put himself in because he's a sick fuck along with the wife. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to say my catchphrase, you know, but he should go to jail for that, not for Yara. I think it's very far fetched. And I think that they should revisit the whole DNA that was found of the coach on there.
Yeah, you know why I think, and it'll never happen because now, according to them, there's not enough DNA to retest it, is what they're saying.
Of course.
Of course
Yeah.
there isn't.
But I do think there's two things. One, they fucked up with the DNA the first time when they were matching it with Yada,
Yeah.
right? They used expired kits to do it. So there's just like,
I think even backtracking, you spent 3 million euros to do this. You harassed people on the streets. It's garnered so much media attention. You didn't find her body the first time. Now you just look incompetent. There's like, he fits the bill. It's him. It's just poor police work.
Yeah, but the police might have been, oh my God, we ourselves have to look into the coach, who the coach was dating, who the coach was seeing, if the police officers or the prosecutors were family members of the gymnastic community, because if they were, and the prosecutor, because remember what Anna said, the prosecutor is now being looked at for veering off path.
I kind of feel for this Massimo guy. Like, yeah, he's hella tan, so I buy that story. The pocket knife, yeah. Like, I don't know.
I don't feel for it. I don't feel for him because he's a
child pornography.
Yeah, he's a sick
yes,
fuck.
for sure. But going to jail for something you didn't do.
Also, it's kind of sus that they hear that he has pocket knives, but don't quickly test the DNA to see if there's DNA on it.
Yeah, everyone
That's
in
why
Italy
I
carries a
think-
pocket knife or an X-Acto knife. Like, that's just so.
But regardless, like if you're so invested into the case that this guy's this guy, test the fucking pocket knife.
And what's the motive? He didn't kill her. He didn't rape her. So it was
That's
the
why I'm
motive.
saying motive is jealousy, and it was the team.
It wasn't him.
It was the team.
If he had killed her, if there was evidence of, the rape, maybe my mind would sway. But you left her there to freeze. Like, what was the motive? My question stands: who wanted her dead? And I think if you really look at it, it's probably her teammates.
How do you spell her last name again? I want to see who her coach was.
G-A-M.
Gam. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Oh, there was a film. Okay, coach.
I watched the film too.
Okay, Sylvia Brenna. Sylvia Brenna.
I had that opened already.
The coach?
I thought about that, yeah.
So while you're researching, would you like to know if he was
Oh,
guilty
yeah.
or not guilty?
He was.
He was on the 1st of July 2016. He was pronounced guilty and got life imprisonment. In
Is he
July
still there?
20, yeah, in July 2017, their defenses applied for many, what's it called?
Parole?
No.
Acquittal?
No, it's like when
Retrial?
you,
Mistrial?
yes, a retrial. There you go.
Glad
And
I got it on the
again,
fourth try.
they keep upholding his verdict, and on 12 December 2018 they confirmed his life sentence as well. So they do think he did it. Me personally, that's why I said I was 100% he did it as well. But
I
after,
don't know. What's the motive? Was he stalking her? Was there evidence of his van?
that's what I mean. It's also weird that like she was just left there. So, and I didn't even think about the superficial stabs. The superficial stabs seem like it's
This
someone.
guy's a construction worker, so he's strong.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
either
don't know.
someone, the superficial stabs is either someone who doesn't have the strength or someone who's not sure that they even want to go forward with this. So they just leave her there
Yeah,
or something. I don't know.
more and more. It just seems like amateur children.
Yeah.
All right, dare I ask, friends? What's your lesson learned?
So hold on. Before lesson learned, I'm on the wonderful world of Reddit, and a lot of people do believe it is the coach as well and the teammates. There is a comment made from Funny Nut 7 months ago that says, "It is possible they should have kept looking at the. Is it possible they shouldn't? They should have kept looking at the female coach. I read somewhere her father found her crying in her room that night. Plus, she and her brother texted each other around the same time Yara went missing to then delete the texts."
Interesting. Oh, so the coach had deleted text messages.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever deleted. You can always pull those up though. Your
Yeah,
digital
not,
footprint
not
is
with
gone.
Italian police. Yeah.
And everyone's saying that it's sus that no one actually interrogated the coach
That's what
or
I
the
mean.
or her teammates.
And it's also weird that on trial they literally all sounded like robots, according to what I understand. They all regurgitated the same words. So that is a good possibility.
And here's another comment from Lalisa, also 7 months ago. The trainer is suspicious as hell. The DNA, the deleted text messages between her and her brother, the crying all night. So the coach was crying all night that night.
Why would you be crying?
Plus, the
Interesting.
wounds on Yara's body aren't deep. Could be done by some lunatic female who might have had a bad day and taken it out on the poor girl, the first poor girl she saw. Could be someone she knows who did it and helped him conceal the body. Could be someone's mistress. Could be some mistress of someone in power to help her get away with the murder.
Bro, when we go home, I'm telling my mom this. Yeah, I didn't, cause she's so like dead set on this guy.
No, I
No,
wasn't.
no.
Yeah.
He obviously should have life in prison for what they found on his computer, as well as the wife. I am very shocked that neither of them have gotten the sentence for what they found in his computer. But I personally think that this is an act of jealousy.
By
And
someone, yeah.
yeah, and it's the team.
Well, thank
what'd you
you,
learn?
my little juries. My lesson learned is everyone out there, don't be jealous.
Mine is this is why you shouldn't have the death penalty, because when you have suspicion that they might not have done it, what if Italy had the death penalty? That's my lesson.
Very good. Tanya? Stay in
Lesson
peace.
learned. Motherfuckers, control your jealousy.
Yeah.
Like, how is killing someone going to going to satisfy your jealousy, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be sitting on a couch eating popcorn and going about your life. You're going to be rotting in a jail cell. If you need to take out your jealousy on something, fucking do kickboxing. I don't know, go swimming. Do something that will let out your anger. You know? Like, if you want jealousy to go away, do something that won't end your life like in a cell. Like, what?
I don't know, man.
Only question mark is, I guess, how do you explain his DNA? But it should have been retested because, no, you made
Yeah,
some very
no,
good
like
points.
I feel like that whole mistesting is,
Sus.
yes, sus as hell, because I personally think if we deep dive, Sylvia has had to have a connection with the police, or it's a team member gone wrong and they needed to protect her because maybe she was the next up as a star. I don't know. But I don't think it's Massimo. Massimo should go to jail for the horrendous things that they found on his computer,
But not that.
but not the murder of Yara.
Agreed.
All right, we're very interested to see kind of where you land on it. And if you watch the documentary and your thoughts swayed or changed, or after listening to this or watching us, let us know. Because the next time we see you, viewers, we're taking a break from this and we're going to do off the cut.
We're off the cut, yeah. Our shooting the shit has turned officially into off the cut, where I will be hosting it and Anna and Christina will be having the fun. But for now, as we always say, come to the conclusion: don't walk alone, go in pairs, knife, keys
Life
between your keys between your knuckles, and
Just be loving.
And find a best friend who will have your back, named Christina Artonia.
even best friends can like be
Stab you in the
horrible.
back. I've stabbed Anna so many times.
Yeah,
she kinda
same.
did.
Same.
I'm definitely kidding, by the way.
Bitches.
Bitches who bitch about bitches. All right, love you, betrayers. We're gonna make that
Yeah,
catch
that's
on.
I think that's what we're gonna call our
Working, it's
audience, betrayers.
All
Yeah.
right, see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.